Hello and welcome back to another episode. The last couple of episodes we were talking about how to build muscles the most efficient way. Now what can we do to improve or to support building muscle with nutrition? Well, there is one very important aspect, actually one most important macronutrient that we need to take care of, that we have enough of, and this is the proteins. Or in this case, you can also call it amino acids when they're broken down. The proteins play the most important role in building muscle and also to recover faster. But it's not just great to build muscle, it's also great to maintain muscle mass, and it's also great if you want to lose weight, because protein has some unique benefits from all three macronutrients. So we have carbs, we have fats, we have proteins. They have some unique benefits which the others don't have that help you will lose more, not muscle, of course, more fat. But in any case, we will talk about how much protein you need to take and what are the best protein sources for you to take. Doesn't matter if you are vegan, vegetarian, omnivore or carnivore or whatever. Now let's get the most important thing out there. How much protein do you actually need? Now there are studies that recommend 1.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. This is like the lower end. And there are some other studies that recommend up to 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. Now usually I recommend people to go for 1.6, so it's somewhere in the middle, so 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. This is a really good target. It makes sure that you have enough protein to recover well and to build more muscle. Now what about timing? When should you eat protein? I usually recommend eating proteins during the whole day. So spread it out in meals, whatever, if it's 2 meals, 3 meals, 4 meals, 5 meals. It's always a good thing to spread them out. You've probably heard of eating protein right after the workout, that this is the most important. This is actually a myth, and many studies have actually refuted that claim. It's not true. You don't need protein right after the workout. There is no additional benefit or very, very little. The most important is that you hit the daily target of protein intake. That's way more important than eating protein right after your workout. What is way more important around the workout, and especially after the workout, are carbs. But that's for another episode. Also, you have probably heard of that myth that proteins make you fat, which is absolutely not true. And also, proteins will actually make you lose fat. So how can this happen? Well, first of all, we have to understand that in order to gain weight, you have to eat more than you actually burn. So proteins, it doesn't matter whether you eat a lot of proteins or carbs or fats or, of course, combined. At the end of the day, if you eat more than you burn, you will gain weight. And it's the same the other way around. If you burn more than what you eat, you will lose weight. This is simply a law of thermodynamics. Now, what is so special about protein to actually make you lose weight? The thing is, when you eat proteins, they will need to be digested into the building blocks that help build, well, that go into the cells and build actually muscle mass. And in order to digest and split up the protein into amino acids, it needs way more energy than the other macronutrients. So this digestion process of the proteins to turn proteins into amino acids takes energy, and it's about 20 to 30% of the calories you eat from proteins. They will be used as fuel basically to split up the proteins into amino acids. So therefore, this thermic effect of food, this protein, is way higher than with the other macronutrients, and will increase your total calorie expenditure during the whole day. So in the end, you will burn more, which is a good thing because then the chances of losing weight is greater. proteins also curb the feeling of hunger. Why is that? Because the body needs a certain amount of amino acids per day. If you don't hit the daily minimum dosage of amino acids, the chances that you feel more hungry are greater. So the more protein you eat, the less hungrier you will feel, which is a good thing as well if you want to lose weight. And that is also a reason why the typical diet shake usually have a lot of protein in them. Proteins also help with building muscle, and not just building, also maintaining muscle mass very well. And therefore, if you have increased muscle mass, and muscles are using a lot of energy, actually one of the body parts that use the most amount of energy, and if you have more muscles, you burn more calories, which in the end is a good thing. And even at rest, so if you are doing nothing and sitting just on the sofa, if you have more muscles, you will burn more than to someone who has less muscle mass. Now, what about maintaining muscle mass? Well, it has been shown that people who eat a high protein diet can actually keep muscle mass much better than someone who eats a low protein diet. And it's even interesting that the people who eat just protein, a lot of protein per meal, there is actually an anabolic effect just from eating protein. So they didn't even train, but they actually already build some muscle. So this is a really interesting concept. It's not a concept that you can now go say like, okay, I don't need to train, I only need to take protein. That's not the idea, but at least you can be sure if you eat a high protein diet and you can't train for a while, let's say you're injured and you can't train, it would be very beneficial if you eat a lot of protein because the loss of muscle mass is decreased. So what are great protein sources? Well, we have lean meats, we have eggs. Eggs are a great source of protein, not just protein, also fats, especially if they're organically farmed. We have fish. Fish is very good. We have also dairy, lots of dairy products like cottage cheese, mozzarella, feta, Greek yogurt, skyr. These are some really good options. Of course, we also have whey protein shakes. Whey protein shakes are actually a good tool if you have a hard time to hit your daily minimum of protein. A shake, immediately you have 20 to 30 grams per shake, and it's a good tool to increase your protein intake. Well, what are good protein sources if you are vegan? And can you actually build muscle if you are vegan? And the answer is absolutely yes. There is no problem to build muscle as a vegan. Now, I would argue that as a vegan, you probably have a harder time to get to the daily protein intake because the food you eat usually are more calorie dense. So let's say, for example, good sources are beans, lentils, soy products, chickpeas, edamame, certain nuts such as almonds, peanuts, cashews. We have hemp seeds, we have oats. Now all these foods usually come with a lot of fiber and carbohydrates. So for example, oats. Oats have, yes, absolutely some protein, but they have way more carbs. In order to actually hit your daily requirements of protein, and if you eat those sources, you will actually eat way more calories. So it's a bit harder. And if you have problems with your digestion and you cannot eat that much fiber, this is where things get really tricky. And there I would also recommend to eat with a vegan protein shake. A simple drink and you have lots of protein already. Even there you have a bit more calories than compared to a whey protein shake, but in any case it's much easier to get the protein in and you don't have to deal with too much carbs and too much fibers. But nevertheless, as a vegan, don't be afraid, go for it, make a plan of what you want to eat and how you want to reach your daily protein intake. It's absolutely achievable. Even results-wise, there is no difference. There has been many vegan athletes that are quite successful, so this is not something I would worry about. Also, nowadays, there are a lot of ready-to-eat protein foods in the supermarket. So one of my favorites are like high protein desserts. They're delicious, they're usually sugar-free, they have lots of protein in them and they taste quite well, depending on the brand of course. But there are many options, also many shakes that are ready to drink. Also, you can eat them, they're great to increase your daily protein intake. I wouldn't eat them all day long because at the end of the day, lots of them are processed foods and sometimes they have a lot of ingredients as well, even some protein bars. But they can be a great snack sometimes and they will help you to reach your daily protein intake. In any case, whatever food you are eating, always check the labels of the foods. See how much protein there is in 100 grams. This is usually what is in Europe or in Switzerland. And then you get an idea of how much protein is in the food. Another great way is to track your calories. I would recommend that 100% if you want to lose weight. Tracking calories are probably one of the most successful methods you can go for if you want to lose weight. And or if you just want to check how, if you just eat and track your calories, you can see if you eat enough carbs or if you eat enough proteins, etc. It's a great way to get an insight into your nutrition intake. There are many great apps out there and usually you can even say if you want to lose weight or if you want to gain weight, so if you want to build muscle, they will give you a recommendation based upon your lifestyle and your body weight, etc. And then you can make a plan and it will tell you how much of each macronutrient you need to eat in order to achieve the goal. Now, with all that being said, you understand now that proteins are crucial if you want to build muscle mass, and not just building, remember also maintaining. And something else to say here is the older you get, the more likely you will lose muscle mass. Therefore, it gets even more important that when you get older, that you eat enough protein. And you can actually shift the curve of losing muscle mass, which means you have better quality of muscle, and better quality of muscle mass will actually increase your quality of life. And especially if you want to cycle or mountain bike or gravel, even when you're old, 70, 80 years old, that's absolutely no problem as long as you go to the gym, train your muscles, build up your muscles, keep your muscles, eat the amount of proteins, and you will be fine and you will be sorted out. Now, as a summary, again, 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, the minimum if you are serious about muscle building. And even if you don't want to build muscle and you just listen to this podcast and want to know something about proteins, it's a great way to keep muscle mass as well, especially when you're older. So make protein a priority in your diet. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you have any questions or comments or ideas, please let me know, write down in the comment section or ask me directly, no problem. I wish you a beautiful day and remember, eat proteins and stay jacked. See you soon.